Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nbpoli podcast. My name is Joanna Killen. I'm here with my co-host, Brent Harris.
Hello.
Here in Menaquist, the unceded territory of the Pescataway, Mi'kmaq, and Williston people. And it's been a while.
Hey, we said we were going to maybe doing a haphazard summer schedule, and we meant that.
Yes, absolutely.
We've been trying to get back on here, though, for probably the last 2 weeks. We wanted to get one in July. So we're going to get one out for New Brunswick Day weekend, which is like, we're going to, good enough, as they say.
Yeah, we're in the middle of 506. It's day 2.
Yeah.
Last night was lovely. It's beautiful out this weekend here in the city.
Oh, gosh, it's crazy. St. John is so sparkly right now. It's perfect temperatures, no fog.
Nope.
It's like 24, 25.
Seriously.
Sun's blazing.
And it kind of felt like it was a sign for us to come back right now. We were out in the yard today.
Oh, yes.
And we had our neighbor, Michelle, come up, and she's seen us on Rogers.
Long time watcher on Rogers.
And she's seen all my plants, and they're Brent's plants too. You've taken care of them. But, I started them all, and she brought me a begonia today.
Yep.
So thank you, Michelle. That's so sweet.
Michelle's begonia. And we gave her a spider plant, which she's calling Drent. Joent.
Yes. And it was very, so she has a named, we are named now in
her house.
In her house.
It was a spider plant named Joent.
But it was super cute.
I said it should be called Broanna.
No, she don't. And I'm with Michelle on this one. So thank you so much. That was a very cute interaction this morning. And my nephew Fred too, he also saw us on TV. Yep. He came up to me when I went to my sister's house, and he said, "Joe, you and Brent were on the news." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "No, I didn't actually stay and listen." He said, but then I asked his mom, and she said it was because we were on Rogers. So thank you, Rogers, for really.
I like Rogers. You guys are bringing us a lot of attention there on YouTube. My little boy wants to be a YouTuber now, he says, and I was like, he's like, "Daddy, aren't you a YouTuber?" And I'm like, I suppose, kind of vicariously, I am actually.
But we don't have to do all the very tedious work that Rogers does for us of uploading and
just the uploading and hosting a channel and blah blah blah. It's like, anyway, thank you to all of our Nbpoli Pod supporters who have been still contributing monthly amounts to us. You can do that. You can go to patreon.com/NbPolyPod. You can become a monthly giver for as little as $5 a month. Up to $25 a month, which is what some people are giving. And that really is helpful to keep that going. Just the service itself that we push that podcast out to beyond Rogers and the audio version and whatnot. So, but we're excited to be back. There's been a lot going on.
Yeah.
And it's the summer, and our guests, we had a great guest list. For those of you who would have watched the last episode, you would have been hearing us go on about these amazing guests. We still have these amazing guests, but the summer really killed any of the planning pieces.
There's a whole thing, and I've thought about this before, about how Canadians kind of operate. We often look to Europe and say, oh yeah, like they have siestas and they have really long vacations and all this stuff. But what you were the one actually bring this up to me. I thought about us as Canadian workers, we actually do less in the time that we're at work.
Yeah, we still we take our vacations, like our 2 to 4 week vacations, if you're lucky to get it. And we kind of take them like 2 or 3 days here, maybe a week off there. But then over the summer, it's just like this assumed, we're knocking off at 3 o'clock today, or we're just dragging our ass, all week this week because we're really wanting to be outside.
So and so is on vacation. Yes. Everyone I'm working with is on vacation. It's kind of a culture thing.
It's frustrating, especially for somebody like for me. I'm still trying to close on this Duke Street project, which we have information about at some point in time about funders and support. Like we're so close, but it's still on there. And like
summer vacations,
you're waiting for people to get back to you, and we're 16 weeks past the time when we thought we were going to close. And man, it's hard to do affordable housing projects.
And speaking of projects, though, one of our topics today is going to be, what are the national projects? What's coming our way? We're hearing lots about energy things. Sackville area is bracing themselves for sort of an energy, a lot of focus coming on them.
Yeah,
gas plant.
Yeah, they've definitely turned that down. They hate.
Yeah, they're not happy with that, but it's still, I believe, on this list of items.
Yep.
We're going to be.
Yeah. So, no, actually, that one you're talking about.
Oh, really?
That's a backup. It's sort of like a grid control development.
So how should we start this with New Brunswick things or?
No, I think this is the thing. Like New Brunswick is the size of Mississauga. I mean, my resting theory is we're way over governed and way under coordinated, and we have competencies, but there's so much. I hate the word bureaucracy, but there's just so many pieces to galvanizing and moving a little province of 800,000 in any big direction. So, like it or lump it, we are along for the ride on whatever the country does. We are never going to be the tail that shakes the dog like Alberta has become.
Yes.
In this conversation, and even BC and Ontario and Quebec, like those are your main population centers. And as much as it drives us nuts sometimes to have Upper Canada rule us, it's like we are along for the ride. So what I wanted to do was I've got a subscription for the National Observer, and I thought we might just go down the list and just take some shots at them, and whether they be positive shots or negative shots or question marks. But I think the province is going to have to move in a direction that aligns with 3 or 4 other people's initiatives.
Like we said, we were talking about how Canada is basically a series of nation states, and some of this economic trade barrier breakdown stuff that's happening is uniting us a little bit more and a little bit more. And what is our role going to be in this grand scheme of things as the tinier player? How do we support what these other
we got some interesting
provinces are doing?
We got some interesting dynamics being where we're at, because of course Nova Scotia wants a better connection to the rest of the country. That comes through us. PEI wants to get grid connected, so there's energy projects that are being talked about. But there's a bunch, and National Observer I thought did a great job, actually probably the best job out of anybody. I've even seen some CBC stuff, and they only cover like a few projects. For however they did it, the National Observer has really dove into this initiative. And I'm trying to see if there's an author on this. Oh yeah, it's John Woodside. And this was July 17th, 2025 when this is compiled. So last couple of weeks, they basically what they've done, they've listened to interviews, podcasts, news article. Like they've done a bit of it, because nobody's sitting there with the list to say, oh, here is the national projects list. But what we do know is that premiers are all jostling and vying for and posturing for their projects. So they've taken a list, they've broken it down into chapters of like the different types of national projects we might see.
Wow.
And so some of these might be rapid fire. We might stop on a couple of them for sure for New Brunswick stuff. But top of the list, so we have, this is in no particular order. I'm not going through this as if it's, number 1 to number 20 or whatever. So they break it down into energy. And the first is fossil fuel development. There's a lot of people in New Brunswick who believe, we got slighted because we didn't get Energy East, because Quebec held up the pipeline and that, destroyed our chances and all this stuff. We've talked about some of those dynamics, but regardless, there are still fossil fuel projects people want to put on the table for good or for worse, environmentally speaking, for sure. But this is what the nation is sort of posturing toward. So you got fossil fuels. Here we go. LNG Canada Phase 2 in BC, liquefied natural gas, export terminal base. So that's going to feed a lot of Asian demand. Cedar LNG, another British Columbia. It's a liquefied natural gas, another export. And it is under construction. That one is under construction. This is awaiting final investment. So LNG Canada Phase 2 going to Kitimat. Of course, they have a tanker ban in and around certain parts of BC's water systems and coastal systems. So that's always been a point of contention for Alberta. And it's a federal tanker ban. It's not a, so of course,
you can't provincially mandate any waterway activity anyway.
So Cedar LNG is a $200 million project. Already spent $200 million. It's an $8 billion project. So it is trying to get LNG out of the Canadian interior and produced on the coast into the Asian Pacific market. We have the Pathways Alliance, or CCUS project, which is in Alberta. It's fossil fuel, carbon capture. It's in a proposal stage. It's a $16 billion project.
Wow.
When we say proposed, this is kind of that's really what these national projects are about. Mark Carney came in. We voted him in. Almost half of us voted for him to come to government. And even the Conservatives were, they were talking even more bullish about pushing projects through and making them shovel ready, regardless of people's opinion about the projects. So these proposed projects are just sitting there in the pipeline. Nobody's put a ton of work into them.
No.
They may have designs, they may have some approvals in place, but they don't have the money they need, the investment to move forward, or the final approvals. So that's Alberta. And then we have the Northern Gateway Revival, which is an Alberta BC connection, which I always find interesting because Alberta and BC seem to have beef.
They do. It seems like they consider BC to be the hippies of the country, and they're the, we're the ones making the money for the country, province of Alberta. You heard it even from some BC mayors that we met who have issue with the extreme lengths the provincial BC government goes to for environmental protections, and what they would consider, limiting opportunity.
Yep.
So seeing them work together, what could this be?
Yep. So it's hard to say, but it's awaiting a proposal. So this is not this is even before the proposal stage. This is awaiting a proposal, but it's this envisioned thing since 2006 by Enbridge. And it's just these people, they dream up these projects, they cost them a little bit, they show you where they want to go and do, and then
they're like, please, sir,
we need you to help. And it's true. We understand, like,
we need some money.
It's like anything, like the biggest projects in this country only get done because we, the people,
pay for them,
and our government push them forward. Now, renewable energy projects.
Because we've heard the Prime Minister say, this is the future.
Of course.
So fine, we have some LNG stuff going on. Fair.
Yep. So the province of Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador are talking about a renewable energy hydroelectric dam. There are feasibility studies under the way. It's in Gull Island.
Yeah, so since we're having like a lesson on how these things work, the feasibility would be post-proposal.
That's right. So for all of you people who were tracking along with the Lorneville stuff, we were pre-proposal.
Yes.
So in order to put proposals on the map, in order to say we want something to be here, we have to have the place for that to land. So it's like anything. You can't build a house unless you have the land put on it, or to put the house on. So this is sort of that. They have the land, and they are doing feasibility studies on that land to try to figure out environmental impacts and stuff like that.
How would this dam work?
Yeah. That's an interesting one because of course, Newfoundland and Labrador have always had this conversation with the Atlantic Loop. You might remember that, which was 2015, 2015,
pre-2015, leading into, I'd say, like this whole concept of more centralization around the provinces. But that conversation dropped quick after COVID.
Yeah. It's a very expensive transmission development to go and loop between Newfoundland all the way down through. So now Canada National Observer considers the project will likely be greenlit.
Okay.
So that is the renewable. That's the Gull Island development. Now they also say the Northern Gateway Revival will be likely greenlit, as well as the LNG ones likely greenlit. So whatever criteria the National Observer is using, so far every project we've mentioned, they believe is likely to be greenlit.
Okay.
So we're already up to like $80 billion.
And we're on the first renewable.
But, interestingly, is Carney has talked about clearing the way for international investment to make some of this possible.
That'll be interesting to see what the chains
has its own risk factor, right? Where it's not necessarily okay. So this is our first Atlantic Canadian full, I guess, maritime. I shouldn't say like Newfoundland, but first maritime project, Wind West.
Cool.
This is proposed.
Yeah.
So they've gone through some feasibility studies already and some development. Tim Houston pitched this to the Carney government. It says a 40 gigawatt development by 2030, and it'll cost billions. That full costing hasn't been done.
And it's a wind farm?
Yeah, it's an offshore wind.
Offshore wind farm. Wow.
So of course, when you get offshore, you can build a lot bigger windmills.
Well, you'd have to probably.
Yeah, like to harness to get above the cost of putting that kind of infrastructure into the seabed, you have to start pulling a lot more power.
But they do it with rigs.
Yeah, they do it with rigs, but those rigs move and can go to another place, and windmills there, and that's it.
That's it.
Right. So, due to the proposed economic development, clean growth potential, and regional fairness concerns, which is always good for us whenever we're talking about regional fairness, they think this is likely to be greenlit too. Okay. Nuclear. Now we're into nuclear. Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and New Brunswick. Nuclear supply chains. So this is New Brunswick's first shot on the map. Of course, we have Point Lepreau.
And we are with others.
And we are not alone. So this is proposed, and the chief focus of the proposal is to build up nuclear supply chains for small modular reactors, SMRs. So
we're back on the SMRs.
Oh God, and I'm likely to be super nervous.
I bet you.
It is. Canada Natural considers a project to support nuclear fuel supply chains to be greenlit.
Yes.
So they're not even saying likely to be greenlit. They're saying this is just going to happen.
Okay.
So
I think we need to do a deep dive on where the SMRs came from.
Oh, and what these companies are that are here that are
pushing this so hard.
You got paper reactors that keep giving millions of dollars.
Well, paper reactor is a good way to put it, because we have an actual nuclear power plant here that is in desperate need of refurbishment.
Oh, and it's billions and billions and billions of dollars and over.
Just the side quest of the SMRs is interesting.
You don't want to.
I think we need to do a deep dive on that.
I agree, but you don't want to be too cynical. But my God, we've been here with Orm Muldren and Bernard Lord when Coulson Cove was going to get retrofit. We've been here with Joy Scientific under Premier Gallant and then Higgs.
Yeah.
And it's just like we've been playing venture capitalist on energy and losing for 20 years.
So then you have, Houston over here with this offshore windmills. Okay.
But they're saying it's likely or will happen. Carney government is also considering how to support supply chain from uranium mining in Saskatchewan. So there's 2 uranium mines waiting for federal approvals. Interesting, a lot of our uranium comes from Russia right now.
Oh, wow.
Which is not good. To an SMR research cluster in New Brunswick.
Oh, no way.
Oh, God.
Who knew?
Our paper reactors, Moltex and what's the other one?
I forget.
Oh, my gosh. Why am I blanking on that, too? They're not mentioned here.
No.
But there is 2 companies who are receiving lots of money to do research around SMRs.
You love a research cluster in New Brunswick.
We are on to Chapter 2, infrastructure.
Okay.
So electrification. We have the Eastern Energy Partnership. And I just saw an announcement about this today in CBC. So this one's getting some quick attention. It is at the proposed stage. It is electrification and power grid work. We know that St. John Energy just got some money for smart grid technology. We also see Nbpoli pulling some moves to try to get their grid balanced with this new gas plant that we were mentioning that will be burning natural gas, which is very bad for the environment. However, and this is where it comes down to, folks, nobody wants to emit, right? We all want the cleanest environment and we want climate change to go away. However, we are going to have to go without if we don't balance the grid.
Yes.
And like it or lump it, unless we have a lot of hydro, the windmills and the solar can't create that grid balance because they ebb and flow. And we take a constant draw of electricity to run all of our stuff. So they're talking about this as a way to beef up that grid, minimize loss over, and it's looking like, Justin Trudeau committed to the Atlantic Loop in 2019. That's really what the Eastern Energy Partnership is. It's this new, it's a rebranding of the Atlantic Loop, rolling projects like Gull Island and Wind West.
Right.
So Gull Island becomes that hydroelectric reserve power.
Yeah.
The offshore wind becomes that intermittent high amount.
And they're saying New Brunswick gets the gas place.
We got to balance some stuff. I'm not surprised that we get the natural gas place.
I'm not surprised we get the natural gas place in this puzzle that they're putting together, basically.
Yeah.
To ensure that we are an energy partnership group in and of ourselves.
Yep. So that's likely to be greenlit.
Yeah.
So Manitoba and Nunavut.
So now we're up to.
Oh, again.
$100, $200 billion.
Nothing for BlackRock if they want to come in and own all of our country, and we can just lay down and just buy all of our energy. They don't know where BlackRock is. They suck, and it's not good what they're doing with their investments. But anyway, they're huge. So Manitoba's got one, and Nunavut working together on the Kivalliq hydro fiber link.
Okay. This
is under development. So it's Inuit owned and led.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Enjoys support from Canada Infrastructure Bank. It will be providing renewable electricity from Manitoba's grid. Take 5 communities and 2 mines off diesel generation. So single-handedly meeting Nunavut's 2030 emissions reaction target. So
that's kind of an interesting one.
That is. Yeah. That one, because there's still a lot right now, if you haven't been following the national project stuff, Indigenous folks are up in arms, but at the same time, there are some players who are like, no, we want this.
Yeah.
So I've talked about the Indigenous Major Projects Group.
Yep.
They had a lot of good things to talk about Carney's bill.
Toby just signed on with St. John Energy again here to do a big solar farm.
Yeah, New Brunswick's largest.
Yep.
Out
here, Black River Road.
That's
which is very cool. And this one sounds similar, where there's a partnership, profit share, basically, of the energy
ownership stakes,
and goes back to those communities in such bigger numbers than any government subsidy could ever provide.
500 megawatts of power.
Wow.
So it'll do a lot for Nunavut's electricity grid, because they're largely dependent on diesel generators to just pump their energy.
That's huge.
Yep. Yukon BC Grid Connect, kind of similar as Eastern Connect, just a little smaller in scale.
Like the loop, but for
BC, not Yukon. Yep. Also similar to Manitoba and Nunavut. So a little bit of north-south work here, which is nice. Yukon is mostly getting electricity from dams and is an isolated grid. So connecting that to BC would be good. Again, all these so far are likely to be greenlit. I'm looking for the one where they're like, we don't think this is going to happen. I haven't seen this yet. Of course, we have the transportation and trade infrastructure project between Windsor, Quebec City, high-speed rail. We've already heard about the Trudeau bullet.
I love the Trudeau bullet. That would be amazing. Just because Quebec City is like 7 hours from here. You could drive and ride. Well,
it'd be interesting if you could go explore Quebec City, hop on a train for 4 hours, 3 hours, be in downtown Toronto.
Yeah, wild.
Might even be less. Maybe do like 2 hours.
That's going to be huge, and will probably take 10 years.
80 years, who knows?
Yeah.
We keep hearing about Port of Churchill. Yeah. That's another infrastructure development. Earlier this year, the federal government earmarked $170 million for the port and Hudson Bay Railway that services it. So there's no highway to Churchill. There's no road.
Wow.
It's a fly-in community. Yep. It's got an airport. It's got a port. But of course, it's not ice-free.
No.
They need icebreakers. So
they're getting a highway.
But they're getting a lot of money to do the upgrades to the port. Think about St. John's Port, how much it's changed.
Yeah.
With, what was it, $300 million?
Mm-hmm.
So you're in that ballpark.
Yeah. Yeah, because there was a lot of the dredging of the harbor to allow for deeps.
Yep.
Deeper.
There's fertilizer, companies that really want this to happen, to export. They do a lot of bulk.
So it's a big Manitoba Canoe win.
Port of Belledune. Here's a New Brunswick exclusive. So of course, Port of Belledune, really hard hit over the years.
Yes.
It's proposed, so it is not under development, but of course, small town of Belledune is positioning itself with a big vision. And Port of Belledune is planning, I'll just read this part because this is a New Brunswick exclusive that we've seen. Port of Belledune is planning a major overhaul of its operations due to the shifting economic climate that will involve building a green energy hub to attract low-carbon industries. The centerpiece of the plan is a green hydrogen project. Port of Belledune, big project, obviously. They're talking about it being a pretty substantial cluster up there.
And circling around green energy, green hydrogen, SMRs, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Because we cannot have an SMR thing going on.
Well, it's part of a cluster, like a supply chain development there with nuclear realities. Yep. And I'm just trying to bring back this National Observer post here. Okay.
So the
Port of Belledune, and that was the last one. It's looking like it will be greenlit.
Yes.
Low carbon industries being the focus, and the centerpiece is a green hydrogen project. So we'll see. There's not all that laying there ready to rock and roll right now.
No.
It was talked about in recent history. The port's other major source of business is handling coal for the Belledune generating station, obviously, which must phase out coal by 2030. So it's considering burning wood pellets.
Oh, like Nana's house.
Like Nana's house. Bottom line is the port is on the hunt for new business.
Yes.
So good for them. I mean, if Belledune gets that, what a boon for that part of the province.
That'd be wild.
And that a massive amount of...
It's a field of dreams.
Yeah, really would be. Build it if they will come.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked a little bit about Carney's disposition in the past, but on this stuff, it really does seem that he's trying to play a role in understanding from his perspective as a former bank governor, this landscape we have of investment portfolios. Of course, everybody knows that he was the board chair of Brookfield, one of the world's largest, but there's many others.
Yes.
We mentioned BlackRock before.
Yes.
Lots of questionable, problematic things coming out of some of these investment firms, private equity.
It's just we've allowed everyone to centralize everything and have actually encouraged and celebrated and lauded folks who have centralized everything.
Yeah.
So, how do you say, how dare BlackRock, Brookfield, any of these big, large asset management groups do what they do? It's like that's capitalism for you. So, ultimately Carney is trying to find a way to, I think, give us a little bit more security economically so that we are not taken advantage of by larger entities in this capitalist hellscape in which we exist.
And I think
Brookfield could buy us.
Yeah, well,
BlackRock could buy the
country. Yeah, at this point, who knows? But it's not necessarily like we're agreeing with that. Like,
no,
we've actually fought against that.
I would rather deal in reality, though.
But the reality is enough of you keep voting for these people to be in power, and these people believe in this type of power and this type of organization. And it is a philosophical practice to imagine a different world. But there are limitations here. And the limitations are this. If Carney wins, and he does what he is meant to do.
These are billions of dollars.
And he is able to garner the attention while the world is getting, shots at it from Donald Trump, shooting from the hip on tariff wars and threats and economic restructuring and bad deals for the EU and all of that. If the world shifts away from all of its stable, unmoors all of those investments from certain places or directions, Carney wants to create an environment where we've got a portfolio of shovel-ready, input-ready,
investment-ready,
vision-ready projects. And we haven't had anything like that in, I don't know, my lifetime.
I know, like what list, so we didn't even get to the mining part of that list.
I know. There's still mines, like there's the Ring of Fire, our good friend Michelle, the mayor of Timmins, who we've spent a lot of time with. We call her the queen of the Ring of Fire but there's 15 First Nations up here. It's a massive opportunity. We talked about the Inuit, a partnership with Manitoba and this equity stake, and that's getting lots of thumbs up from those leaders. But overall, the Indigenous chiefs around the country are pretty frustrated with Bill C-5. Yes. Talk
to us about Bill C-5.
Yeah, well, the C-5, it expedites projects, right? It creates this new green lighting and committee-driven or group that can be the one-stop shop for projects of this scale. And so the Indigenous are saying, well, we weren't consulted. This is my paraphrase. So if you're listening and you're like, that's not what's going on, correct me if I'm wrong. But it seems to be the Indigenous saying we weren't consulted. And the federal government is saying, well, we have to consult you once we have the proposals in place. And they're saying, no, we wanted to be before the proposals. So I can appreciate what the government's saying because we went through it with Laurenville. Laurenville people would be like, well, we want the business there's no business plan for this. Why you can't do any of this? There's no business plan. And it's like, well, there can't be a business plan because currently there can't be businesses that go in there. Yeah. So you can't put the horse before the cart or the cart before the horse. Yeah. And in this case, I think it seems like the Indigenous are asking, some leaders anyway, asking to be there ahead of the cart. And that's just going to be a rub that's probably going to exist for a long time between the federal government and some of the Indigenous
not even just Indigenous, but all communities that they are going to have to deal with when it comes to pushing through large-scale national projects. Like, we are a country that is used to deep consultation, at least in the last 20 years. Like, before that, questionable, as given some of the neighborhoods that were installed in this particular city that probably shouldn't have been.
Neighborhoods around refineries and mills and everything like that.
Crazy stuff.
So it didn't seem like back in the day there was a lot of
if you were working at Moosehead, you probably lived next door to it in that little neighborhood that's right beside the brewery. So or right beside the mill, which would be Milltown. Like, there's all kinds of
St. Stephen,
Milltown. There's all kinds of examples of that. Yeah. So, but now though, that kind of rhetoric, people who voted for Carney will be very shocked when they see a national project show up in their backyard and they are not being consulted about it.
Well, they'll be consulted about it, but to them it will be a foregone conclusion. Like we were accused of this was all decided a year ago, and it's like, well, you're not wrong. Carney decided during the election to put this on the table, and you guys voted for it. You can't shoot the guy when he comes back, and the government when they come back and put it in your backyard. You don't own everything around your house. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, either this country learns to row together in the same direction, or we miss more and more and more and more boats until we're back to where we were in the 90s, which is basically a near like third world country according to the IMF.
Really?
Yeah, well, you got to remember, coming out of the 80s, the reason the Chrétien government and Paul Martin, the finance minister at the time, had to do so many fiscal reforms was because we were losing our credit rating hand over fist. We were paying a fortune to service our debt, and we had no roadway out.
So it
was a downward spiral. They called us a banana republic of the North.
Right.
Because all we were slinging was lumber and mining products and some oil. And we didn't have any expertise. We were not technologically advanced. Our manufacturing was stifled. And so we easily can NIMBY ourselves back to that.
Right.
But I don't think the government will let us NIMBY them. Like, I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah. You're just going to get a bunch of pissed off communities that threaten to leave the country.
Yeah, I guess. Like, I mean, it's...
Like, I think it's just going to happen. Like the National Observer is saying, this is likely to be greenlit. All these projects so far, the Ring of Fire, huge one, right? We can't keep getting our minerals from China.
Mm-hmm.
This phone, China, the car batteries we have, the electronics we have, this mic, we're talking, these are all rare earth materials that come from the Congo, that come from Brazil, that come from Peru.
Which China doesn't necessarily, have every single mine, but they have all these
supply chains built. Yes. They run the port, they run the shipping companies, they have the refining capacity.
And the African countries that are dealing in these.
Yeah, America's lost all that soft power because they're trying to use hard power, and China's picking it up.
Yeah.
China's saying, well, we're not going to threaten you and blah, blah, blah. We're just going to do business with you. Mm-hmm. And China has its own problems.
Of course.
And they have some pretty potentially staggering.
I doubt there was a lot of consultation when there was giant cities being built in the span of 10 years and all these various.
They're more communal though. Yes. They're less individual. Their individualism levels are way lower in a Chinese cultural context than they are North American. We are far more individually driven. So it's instead of what's good for the goose, good for the gander kind of thing here, it's like,
I'm not a goose.
I'm not part of no gander. I'm not part of that gander. That's for sure over there. It's a different game here, and it creates all these problems because we can't row in the same direction. And then the investment.
We can't even have the conversation. And I think that's where, Politics in the Age of Rage, we really come.
That's a book.
I know it is a book. We talked about this book on this podcast before. It is a reality that doesn't exist in China. You're not allowed to be enraged. You are put in jail. So that therein lies, like, obviously the top-down issue that comes with that form of society.
And even their economy could fall apart. I listened to a great podcast, Economics Explained, and he does a great job at laying out what the heck's going on in China and how fragile things really could be. But they're a centralized system with a central government running the show on everything.
Yeah.
They don't have provincial governments vying for posturing. Like, they don't have a Danielle Smith threatening to leave the country and then a Legault already basically with the National Assembly that says we're not part of it.
They have a lot of issues that personality issues that don't exist.
Yeah. Yes. Because what Xi says, Xi does, and President Xi and will be, the single force to drive that with the party. So, but that's where all the critical minerals come from. We don't get them in Canada. We have them in the Ring of Fire. Timmins is kind of ground zero for that. Yeah. We want to have Michelle on the show because this likely could be greenlit, but it's unclear how Indigenous rights will be taken into account on these projects. Mm-hmm. It could be split in two. Who knows?
Hopefully a lot of profit sharing.
Yep. We got a critical mineral triangle in, we're talking about this. Yeah. Loops, squares, triangles. Haven't heard about a rectangle yet.
Where's the heart of the city? Where's the heart of the country?
Where's the small heart, big city? Or big heart, small city? Whatever our motto is. So the Manitoba is home to 30 of the 34 minerals on Canada's critical mineral list. So could be a big project there. Due to pro, it's likely to be greenlit. So we have the Green Bay geological province corridor, Slave Lake kind of mining infrastructure between Nunavut and Northwest Territories. Would be a big port kind of interaction and a massive road system to unlock critical minerals there. And that's it. So those are the projects. And my goodness, we already talked through this once.
We did.
But we lost all of our video footage. So that is like, what project are you most excited about? What do you see as being kind of, or what are you hearing when in the chattering class that you listen to? All of you listeners, all of our Patreon supporters.
Maybe this wasn't even very easy information to find. I think you already mentioned that, like, to just see the comprehensive list of what he's looking at.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this caught it because we were talking, it was more towards the end, but it feels like the New Brunswick piece of this puzzle that Carney is putting together. I was comparing it to the soccer leagues in the UK, where it feels like Beldoon is like this, National League 2, where all these other ones are like, holy, like there's going to be a ring of fire of minerals, and there's going to be like a BC natural gas like connectivity, and then there's
2 LNG plants,
and then there's a port upgrade in Belgium. How are these in the same bucket? I guess.
And Susan Holt's been, like you said, Susan Holt's been on there trying to pound the drum, but I think we gotta recognize who we are and what we are, folks, and what we are is allies, not leaders. And I hate to say that because I think we're really smart and I think we could be really great province and we've got all these people doing really hard work, I guess. But at the same time, guys, we're the size of Mississauga, like we said. We either put our shoulder behind someone else's project and find a way to make it work within our province, or we miss the boat.
Yeah, I think it is, how do we play that supportive role to whether, I would love to see just a nuclear refurbishment plan instead of an SMR plan. But, that is what it is. And if we need to be the research cluster, if we have the room at the universities,
if we could just get somebody else to run our nuclear plant and to run our energy program, if we could just sell NB Power. Anyway.
No, but we must have everything one of our own. Like, it's the individualism, right? Our whole country is built on individualism. Like, you look at every province as an individual entity, and then every municipality, individual entities. But at the will of the provinces. It just feels like we're just a bunch of folks building castles of sticks. I think I've used that term before. And it's like they're all really easy to peel over, which NB Power is a great example of a castle of sticks where it's not hard to bankrupt that place.
It should be
underwater.
Bankrupt. If it were a private organization, it would be bankrupt a long time ago. It hasn't produced a return for the New Brunswick taxpayer. And they'll say, well, we'll keep the power on. It's like, okay. You keep the power on. I also keep the roof fixed. It doesn't mean my finances look good. And it doesn't mean my finances are sustainable. Because if the roof collapsed right now, I couldn't fix it. And Mactaquack's falling down and we can't afford it.
Exactly.
So it's like, you guys failed. You suck. I'm sorry. You don't do a good job at explaining how you're going to solve these problems. There is no exit strategy from this debt. David Kuhn's been talking about this for years.
Yeah.
The problem is, the only solution is to sell NB Power. And I'm sorry, guys, but back to the Maritime Union thing, we're talking about Energy East Partnership. Why don't we just have one utility? Really?
I know.
Nova Scotia Power is not much better.
No.
It might be worse in some ways. They go down more than we do.
Is PEI, is Nova Scotia Power?
They're connected to NB Power.
No, PEI doesn't have their own.
They have a special carve-outs and
controls,
but they don't really have generation.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
So they were buying it from somewhere else.
They're buying transmission.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good point. And but that would be one way to row in the same direction. Would be to.
We did it with the lottery organization.
Oh yeah, we from them yesterday. I guess Steven Seagal. Thank you, ALC. You keep saying AMBL.
Not yes.
Yes, we managed to do it with gambling.
Oh my gosh. It's like, can we do it with healthcare? Sure, we could. Well, will we? No.
No.
Can
Power,
we do it with
though.
Community colleges? Yes, we should. Will we? No. And it's just like, well, okay, I guess we all need to have our own chief executive officer of our own little schools and our own little hospitals and our own little utilities. And meanwhile, we're literally one of the boroughs of Toronto between the 3 provinces in Maritime. What's the point of all this duplication?
This is so funny because our first chat did not include this at all.
No.
But it makes a lot of sense when you're seeing the premiers sign deals with each other and try to come together.
I love how I don't know. Sorry, go.
No, it's okay. No,
I was just gonna say I love how Tim Houston and Canoe and Doug Ford.
Sleepover.
But they're all signing like free trade agreements between the provinces, which we've always been griped about. We've always moaned about, and never done anything about.
Yeah.
Now we're doing something because we have to. But New Brunswick's second one was a memorandum of understanding with PEI. Yeah. It's like we can't even get to an actual trade deal. It's just an MOU. Like, hey, I have intentions to deal with you fairly, or like with reduced tariffs internally. It's like, man, dear life, you guys.
No, we are very affected by our constituents here because we are so small and everyone is so just enmeshed. You know, we're enmeshed as a province, and so anytime anything affects someone negatively, they can directly call the premier. You're not getting that same level of service in pretty much, I think, any other province, maybe PEI.
Well, you know what? Doug Ford's famous for giving his personal number out.
Oh, I suppose.
The man is 7 years in, and he just won another majority government. He's polling at 50%. I don't think it's ever happened in Canadian history. And that makes me throw up a little bit in my mouth because I lived in Ontario when Doug Ford was running for leadership. And everybody thought it was a fool's errand and a bad deal and a bad idea. And he was the Donald Trump and blah, blah, blah. And so the left has this reactionary posture when anybody comes along who doesn't fit their mold, and they just keep losing.
Yeah.
It's crazy how the left continues to lose, fight itself, refuse to row in any sort of clear direction, wag the finger about the climate, then over here we're buying off Amazon. And I'm sorry, but like Carney's a progressive conservative government.
Yes.
And Susan Holt's a McKenna liberal.
They're very.
It's just like a Mulroney era liberal.
Which is another conservative, if you look at it in a context of when you look at their ideas and values. He was decent. He was like McKenna was the one who was getting out of the business of healthcare, basically,
and housing
and education.
Yeah. But
that's when they dissolved
a
lot of the school boards, and they reorganizing, centralizing. Which again, we're a small province. I get it. We didn't necessarily need hospitals in every tiny little place, but that really was not liberal, or that wasn't left. That's never been left. Like, we've never had a leftist government in Canada. Like, even Wab Canoe, like as wonderful as he is still talking about mining.
Oh God, yeah.
He's still talking about energy corridors.
Prairie NDP people are very different.
Yes.
Than NDP in Ontario and the left in Quebec
and BC. Right.
Prairie NDP, well, even BC, like Horgan was like the breakthrough for the NDP against the Christie Clark Liberals. And Horgan was just like a blue collar, well, not blue collar, more of an executive business.
Yes.
Mulroney NDP, which is like, how does that work? But they will vote for that in small communities. Small community conservatives will vote for that brand of NDP.
Yeah.
We don't have it here, and that's why the NDP are dead here and never will return. And they might do something in Nova Scotia,
but they're operating from a very leftist, like, base perspective in Nova Scotia. Like, that's those activist types that are running for the NDP there.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the same type that you're saying exists out west, right? So here, the Liberals aren't the left. Like, and the Federal's perspective, the Liberals aren't the left either. So they're centrist at best, if not totally progressive conservative.
Yeah. And I mean, what would a proper leftist analysis be here? Tax the rich. Call their bluff. Nationalize some of these national projects with that. Oh, but they'll leave. Then let them leave and require them to surrender their own. Like, this is the thing. We don't really have a choice here. We either have to sell off all of our top tier options to the investor class of the globe and lose some control, which is what Carney's going to do.
Yeah, because they're all going to be.
That will work out well for us. And it might. I don't know. I'm not saying that I can say that is going to kill us and it's going to doom us to a a monopolized.
It's just be more of the same.
It's more of the same is what we have right now, but it's on a big scale with all these national projects. And New Brunswick it's already been chopped up by the billionaires. We don't have there's no appetite for leftist policy, despite the fact that it could really work. And you have people like Gary Stevenson in the UK running these massive, and I think very intelligent approaches to try to convince people and persuade them that the reason we don't have is because we have left so much on the table for these folks, and we have been duped into believing for so long that they'll just leave, they'll walk away, and we'll have nothing. And it's like,
one of our first episodes was about how one particular family has been doing that for decades and saying they're going to leave. And then one of the people we're going to have on this podcast talks about that and talks about, goes through, he has a whole bunch of series of videos, Matt Williston, about how complicated and expensive it would be for any of these people to go anywhere.
Oh God.
So all they've been doing is gaslighting you into thinking that your job's going to go away.
Labor's not mobile. Like they would have
pretend.
You can't just uproot decades of infrastructure development and billions of dollars of work and people's salaries and competencies and expect to plop it down somewhere else.
No.
So anyway, it's a crazy time we're in. It does, like, the left is so disjointed and disunified. We don't look like we have any hope of taxing the wealth and the inheritance tax getting up there and the marital tax.
Actually, let's talk about that for 1 second, because the property tax survey did come out. So the province is asking you, any listeners, us, we both answered it, about what you think about the property tax assessment system in New Brunswick. Blah, blah. Not one mention of industry, not one mention of tax classes, not one mention of any sort of, should we perhaps or reorganize how, commerce or business is taxed. Like, not even a vague question like that, like nothing. Just, are you happy with your service from Service New Brunswick? Are you,
do you think it's fair?
Yeah.
Is it transparent? It's
right.
Like, no.
No.
It's not. I mean, it's speculative and it's market driven, but it's not housing first.
My stepfather spent decades trying to figure out, what does the formula look like? Can you guys tell me?
They're not allowed, because that's protected information. And if you live in a system that wants to allow market forces to control the prices of things, you have to hide that system behind a closed door. Otherwise, it'll be manipulated by bad actors. But that's the problem. That's a dumb system. Why do you have that? Shouldn't be any value in your property. It should be valuable only in as far as you look after it for the next person who has to live there so they have a roof. But that's not the system we have. Instead, we make our billions of dollars. And this is the other thing. We're making billions of dollars on real estate investment.
Yes.
It's not sustainable.
No.
It doesn't mine anything. It doesn't produce anything.
You're selling the same thing over and over.
It's a box that you now have a license to print money with. And whose money is it? It's your money, my money. It's my rent money that goes into this place. It's just like, that is making, even if it's a private landlord, that is making them money for something they're not doing anything for.
No.
Sure, they come and maintain it once in a while. So do I. When I keep the lights on and the heat going and I keep the floor cleaned and I report problems, there's no reward to my long-term future that way. And it's just like, but private equity just keeps buying up all these houses, all these apartments, and commodifying them. And that investor money from people who are making a few $100,000 a year and want to put $50,000 or $120,000 somewhere keeps going in to property instead of mines, railroads, ports, research clusters, because the profit margins on these companies, on mines and all this, is way less than real estate. And
why wouldn't you want to buy something that you can sell over and over and over again?
Right.
You can't sell something from a mine that goes into the phone that is gone. That's it. So like, this is a dream for no wonder there's these idiot bros on TikTok trying to tell you how you can take advantage of the same system the same way that they have.
Yeah, that our parents did accidentally.
Oh my gosh.
Parents didn't plan for it this way, but this is what it became because we said to the market, you guys go ahead.
You go ahead.
So anyway, it's like Carney might be playing that. He might be maybe he'll come down on the real estate industry.
That'd be cool.
And certainly try to mobilize all those billions of dollars in investment over into another area.
Which, putting the list together, you're not going to see like anything but public-private partnerships in in that entire list. Like none of that.
There won't be nationalized projects. There'll be public-private partnerships.
Yes.
P3s, which have their own problems.
Absolutely. We couldn't even get our water fixed here in St. John without a P3.
And they're really good.
And they are.
But
we still couldn't do it on our own. We could not do that solar farm on our own.
We can't even look after our own hospitals on our own.
No. We have to have home lottery fundraisers that raise millions and millions of dollars.
And private corporations run them.
So like we have all these things. We have food banks. We have all these other entities that are here to raise money to prop up the system that isn't funding the people that currently exist within it.
No. Our resources are many.
But they're mismanaged.
Our coordination of those resources is hilarious.
It's what is it? Coordination failure.
It is.
It's a very kind word.
Coordination failure, right? Because the sustainability of this province is negligent. It doesn't exist. We don't sustain ourselves in any way. We don't make enough money. We don't tax enough money. We don't produce enough revenue here to run the budget we have without equalization payments, and that's dumb.
Been dumb.
Anyway,
Maritime Union.
At least let's stop over-governing and paying people all kinds of money to be the mayor of Butternut Valley, for God's sakes.
Oh, no.
Or all these regional problems. It's just like, I get it. It sucks to amalgamate, but really, we're all in each other's way here.
Yeah. No, I know. I feel like, there's centralization. There's a kind of a dichotomy we have here.
Yes.
Because it's like we do not like centralization in some ways because it takes away that, community first approach. But we also think that
centralize certain things.
We are too big or we're too small to have so much stuff.
Yeah, we're
that's
over-governed.
Right.
We already talked about Nbpoli. Like with that mess, it's just like. Anyway, there is other news in the province, and it's not like we're news anchors, but it's just like, what's going on this summer? There's not a whole lot.
Sleepy summer.
Librarians are back.
They were canceled by the provincial government, and now their tribunal, the labor board, has said that was not the right decision, and they're back. So, which is just in time for school, which is great.
Okay. And Margaret Blaney is now the PC John Dornan.
Yes, she got her settlement all figured out. I thought she was already $700,000 for her improper dismissal.
Yes,
I believe. I know it's hard to be a premier, I guess, and you just fired people and that were your political enemies, and then you got to pay them millions of dollars, and it's rough out there,
Oh, yeah. And like, what's going on? Another thing. Well, I did see that NB Housing is going to be 250 units short of its goals. To produce social housing of 300
for the first year. Was that
Do you remember the money that was announced in 2022 by
Dorothy Shepherd
and Arlene and all them from the PCs that the Liberals sort of like picked up the reins?
The 300.
We got like 120 out of 300 some built. And I'm just saying, I've got a solution. It costs less money. You can do it faster. You've got to be brave. You've got to be ambitious. You've got to take property from people who don't deserve it. Sorry, I said it. You've got to take property from people who are sitting on it, can't do anything with it, can't fix it, speculating on it. I got a call about another speculative land sale that just happened. Somebody bought land, upzoned it, put a big flashy
sign on it.
Yeah. Look what it could be. Like, and then they just sold it for $1.2 million. They made like $400,000. How is that productive?
It's not. Just because you, like, why not start just getting rezonings done? Right. Every city you go to, why not?
I mean, just use the earnings from the last win to go to the next city and pour it into another one.
Where's my passive income bro account?
Because right now, the law says you can't turn down a development because you think it might be speculative.
Yeah.
You actually aren't allowed. I'm not allowed to do that. If I were to do that, if our council turned these guys down who bought this development out in Redhead, wanted to put hundreds of units on it, and we said, no, we think you're speculative, they would challenge us in court through the tribunal and they would win. Just like Hampton shut down a drug rehabilitation center because the neighbors didn't want it. Mm-hmm. We're not rowing in the same direction, folks.
No, that was a devastating story to hear, actually, that 6 neighbors in Deer Island were able to... Darlings Island.
Darlings Island, right.
Sorry. Were able to get a decision reversed by the same people who hear about your property tax assessment.
Right.
Around a drug rehabilitation facility that had just invested over $1 million into its renovation.
Yeah. For like 12 people.
For 12 people who have committed to recovery. This isn't some sort of place where, you're dragging folks in forcing them into, you know, which the PCs have expressly wanted to do. Right, exactly. And who was the representative up there for the provincial government? No, it's actually what's his name? It was going to be Faitine, right? But it's not Faitine. It is John Harum, Heron. But the federal minister or MP, I believe, is a progressive conservative. So there's a weird dichotomy, guys, around we want mental health and we need addiction facilities and we need this and we need that.
Not here, and not there. I want it in the woods in central New Brunswick.
Oh wait, no. We're going to reverse that zoning because basically this is the woods in the middle of New Brunswick. So, devastating.
Again, how do you lead, you guys? I'm sorry, like to you listeners, you're probably not the problem.
You're not.
You look at the social media feeds here. Like we just put 28 units up in the first green zones in Atlantic Canada, and they're fully housed. People are moving out of tents and into it. And what are people's comments? Oh, well, they're going to burn it down. They don't deserve housing. They've ruined everything. They stole all the bikes. They did all the stuff, and all that stuff is. Some of that's true. There's no questions. Like a lot of bikes have been stolen. A lot of stuff has been moved around. But it's like, you guys, you don't want them to recover.
No.
You don't want them housed.
No.
You don't want their homelessness problem in your backyard.
You don't want them in the city. You don't want them in the country.
You don't want to coordinate. You don't want to, but you just want them to gripe about it and then not be part of the solution. That's where we're at. Like, and as leaders who are trying to be democratic, who do we listen to here? Because it's
very difficult to get through a lot of the noise because there's people who genuinely are so supportive of you in one decision you make and then absolutely vitriolic to you in the next decision you make.
Save the tree.
Because you didn't save the tree, but you saved all these other things, but that doesn't matter. You didn't do the thing that I needed you to do right then and there in this exact moment when I wanted you to do it. Yeah. And like, this is the whole thing we've been talking about sort of broadly around leadership in this day and age. And like, how do we operate like that? That's an incredibly individualistic approach to discourse and involvement and seeing how, we are humans as well, trying to weigh decisions of 79,000 people, and that your mindset is not the only mindset. And that's where I struggle with a lot of people who are online and talk about these things. It's like, you really genuinely believe that your opinion is the only one that matters.
Sorry again, folks. Had some technical difficulties this week on the pod. Just to finish my thought, if 76,000 people, vote for something, but there's 4,000 really well organized and loud people about something, it does create a dynamic around governance that is difficult for people to accept, right? Because visually speaking, it seems like the majority are the ones showing up on the social media posts, commenting and saying things and outraged or whatever. But, at the end of the day, the elections tell the truth. And even though we'd love to see a different electoral system, we'd love to see more people out to vote in the first place. We'd love to see more people engage with party politics to shape these systems into what supports people. Ultimately, we don't have that. Less than 2% of Canadians are involved with party politics. But I will promise you one thing, 100% of people have opinions about the government. So, I think one book that's worth looking at for some folks, if you haven't, is Andrew Coyne's new book, Crisis of Democracy in Canada. It's hopeful, even though it sounds crisis. And anyway, we just wanted to have a sign off here. So,
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, goodbye. And we will be back in a few weeks' time before the end of August with our final episode of the summer before we get back into a scheduled weekly schedule in the fall. So hopefully everybody's enjoying the summer and stay safe.